I'm Dr. Trish Lee from Lee Brain and Spine, and I'm here today to share with you how QEEG brain mapping and neurofeedback work. So let's dive right in. Harvard University, a year back, produced a wonderful article with beautiful pictures and infographics that show the difference between functional MRI and EEG for being able to determine how brains are functioning. And essentially, what that article showed is that QEEG brain mapping actually gleans more information on how a brain is performing and what it needs to perform better. And the way that it works is MRI shows location of brain activity. EEG shows not only location, but it shows frequency of brain functioning. And that is a very important aspect for most people. So the way that EEG picks up the information from a person's brain is that we are able to read, using an EEG cap, how every area of your brain is using processing speed. That's frequency. So this is what I call my micro TED Talk. My husband has begged me to stop calling it, but I refuse because I think it's perfect. Being able to describe a very complex idea with no slides in a short amount of time. So here it goes. Our brains are supposed to be able to shift gears from extra slow speed down here, 2 hertz, very, very slow, all the way up here to 45 hertz, very fast processing speed. So when we're asleep, we use 2 hertz. Our brains are going as slow as possible to keep us in sleep. When we wake up and we're feeling groggy, our brains are going a little bit faster, 5 hertz. And then as we wake up fully and we're alert but not really thinking yet, our brains are in medium speed, 10 hertz. Then when it's time to think, go to work, go to school, we need to be in 15 hertz, optimal processing speed, the zone as we call it, so that we can have high levels of productivity while we are still feeling calm and focused. But now if something stressful happens, our brain kicks it into faster gear. And what that feels like is an increase in blood pressure, our heart rate might increase. This is anxiety, extra fast speed. And if it's even faster, if it's going so fast, that is fight or flight, which represents a crisis. Back in the day, a tiger was chasing you. So your brain and body had to go as fast as possible. So we should be able to shift in and out of these gears, first of all, across our day, circadian rhythms they're called, and as we need to. So what happens for many people is their brains are stuck in a gear. They're either born that way or something happens to make it so that their brain is stuck down here in slow mode, which has been associated with ADHD and learning challenges. The use of extra slow speed has been associated with memory loss and with neurodegenerative diseases. Up here, extra fast speed is associated with anxiety, chronic stress, overthinking, OCD behaviors, tics, that high fast energy needing to be purged. Here in the middle, if you're stuck in coast mode, think can't get off the couch, relax mode all the time, that's associated with depression and low motivation. All of those things we can identify if your brain is performing in that mode using QEEG brain mapping, and then we know what to do about it. What we do is we are able to use neurofeedback guided by your colorful visible map and know where your brain is now and what we need to do to optimize or make better the irregular brain pattern. The way that it works is when people come into the office, they're connected to our advanced computer systems using sensors, and the sensors read how their brain is performing. While the sensors are connected, the person is watching a movie. I know it sounds crazy, but the movie entertains their mind, basically so they won't fall asleep or they won't spin their wheels. And when their mind is entertained, their brain receives feedback through the eyes and the ears. The movie plays bright when the brain is in the zone. The movie goes dim when the brain moves out of the zone. Also, there is auditory feedback, which is a hum to the brain, telling the brain you're in the zone. when the brain goes out, the hum goes away, and if you get really far out, there's a negative feedback ding. Ding, ding, ding. Brains and people don't like the ding. And what that means is the brain works to retrain its performance to get back here into the zone. So the more often you're able to use this pattern of optimal processing speed, the better your brain performs. Over time, your brain learns how to make more of this speed and less of the speed or speeds that are causing your challenges. So this technology is based on Pavlov's dog, a 110-year-old study that proved that brains could be conditioned. It's actually called classical conditioning. Pavlov rang a bell in the presence of food and made the dogs drool. When he removed the food, rang the bell, the dog still drooled. It proved brains could be conditioned without people having to think about it. The way that neurofeedback works takes it one step further. It is called operant conditioning. And a very important aspect of operant conditioning is the establishment of what's called a positive feedback loop. So what we do using neurofeedback is we identify the irregular brain pattern that is causing a negative feedback loop. So what this means is if a child has ADHD or if a person suffers from anxiety, that brain pattern is causing behaviors that get them negative outcomes. So behaviors might be impulsivity or feeling stressed out and anxious. That behavior makes it so that people are annoyed with them, they can't get their work done, oftentimes children are in trouble. Science has proven through a law called Hebb's law that the use of this negative feedback loop actually folds back to brain functioning and will lock in the negative brain pattern. It's called Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together wire together. So we use Hebb's law to establish a new, better brain pattern, which in turn gets you better behaviors. You no longer feel anxious. You can go into the world feeling calm. You can approach your work or your homework with focus and a relaxed demeanor. And what that means is people are relaxed around you, your relationships improve, your work gets better, you have more fun playing. That is the establishment of a better brain pattern for better behaviors, which get you better outcomes. And here's the key, which then folds back and is locking in those neural pathways using Hebb's law. So we work tirelessly at Lee Brain and Spine to make sure that we, first of all, change the brain pattern, but that we lock in that positive feedback loop for permanent change. Okay, so the last idea I'd like to talk with you about is medications. So if you're taking medications, many people often ask us, can I do neurofeedback if I'm using medications? The answer is yes. And again, there's a quintessential study. I love science, but of course I love making sure science is applicable to people. But science shows that neurofeedback, when it's added to prescription medication, can effectively change the brain patterns. So this study shows that brain patterns never change because of medication. The irregular brain patterns are still there when prescription medication is used. But when neurofeedback is added, those brain patterns can be optimized. So actually, this study shows that behaviors improved even more than when just on medication, and brain patterns were changed. And this holds true when the medication was in the system and after the washout period of medication. So we're careful when it comes to medications, and of course we work with prescribing doctors, but we use the brain functioning graphs that we see every single session in our office that shows us how your brain functioning is improving. We can use that to guide your prescription medication use. Okay. I hope you have a better understanding of how QEEG brain mapping and neurofeedback work, and if it feels like a good fit for you, we'd love to serve you at Lee Brain and Spine. Thank you very much.